In London,
Bring them home! Bring them home!
Sydney,
Bring those hostage back to Israel.
and Geneva.
We need action.
The families of the missing make themselves heard. On the street,
What would you do if we would tell you 18 days you don't know if that loved one is alive, dead, getting fed?
and via webcam.
This is my job now. I hold meetings with people about the situation. I go to the campaign of the families. I talk to the press.
Jonathan Zagan's mother, peace activist Vivian Silva, is missing, presumed kidnapped, along with 217 others. The kidnappings and the murders of 1,400 Israelis provoked the nation's wrath.
אנחנו ממטירים על החמאס אש תופת. כבר חיסלנו אלפי מחבלים. וזאת רק ההתחלה.
Israel's Prime Minister vows a ground assault will soon begin.
אנחנו בעיצומה של מערכה על קיומנו. הצבנו למלחמה שתי מטרות. לחסל את החמאס על ידי השמדת היכולות הצבאיות והשלטוניות שלו, ולעשות כל דבר אפשרי. להשיב את החטופים שלנו הביתה.
The government says, of course, the hostages are they're part of the goals of this war. The purpose of the headquarters of the families is to say, no, the hostages is the first priority.
2 weeks ago, immediately after the 7th of October, the number one priority, the directive of the government, the people in the army, was to go into Gaza and eliminate Hamas. We've seen a delay in the ground incursion. The delay keeps getting extended. I see this directly as the result of the influence of the families of hostages.
This is top priority in Israel now. That's why Israel is not going into the ground of Gaza.
Omri Almog's sister and 3 of her children were taken by Hamas.
They've been missing for almost 2 weeks. And a few days ago, we got the message that they are kidnapped and they are alive.
The family's campaign for the hostages is led from a borrowed lawyer's office in Tel Aviv, where the walls are plastered with the faces of the missing and everyone is a volunteer.
All this organization is based on humanity, which is the opposite of what happened to us on the 7th of October, which was not human.
Meirav Leshem Gonen is a manager of a group called the Hostages and Missing Families Forum.
All we work in is make sure that our family members will come back alive.
Meirav's daughter, Romy, was at the Nova Trance Music Festival in the Negev Desert. Romy called her mother that morning from inside her car, stuck in a traffic jam of people trying to flee, as terrorists moved among the vehicles.
She asked me to be quiet so nobody will hear her. And I was on the phone with her when she called me at 10:14 and said, "Mommy, I was shot. They shot us. The car was shot."
Romy remains missing, presumed kidnapped. Meirav has channeled her grief and energy into this campaign.
All day long working with people and being supported by them and seeing the professional work and they're moving, going from room to room, telephone meetings, you feel action, you feel that things are moving.
So far, 4 hostages have been released, brokered through 2 states with channels to Hamas. Mother and daughter, Judith and Natalie Ranan, were freed through efforts from Qatar. Negotiations for the release of Nurit Cooper and Yocheved Lifshitz were led by Egypt.
The Qatari release was a result of a direct American pressure from the US President and Secretary of State. The Egyptian in response to that was, we can do better. I think this is really the context that you have to look at it, and not some coherent Hamas plan that we're going to release hostages every day in order to weaken the Israeli public's will to wage the war against us, etc.
Gershon Baskin helped negotiate the release of Israeli soldier Gilad Shalit from Hamas in 2011. He says this time the way to win back hostages is to put pressure on Qatar.
The whole entire political leadership is hosted in Qatar, in Doha, living the high life in five-star hotels and fancy restaurants. And what if Qatar said to the Hamas leadership, you release the hostages, the civilian hostages, in 24 hours, or you start packing your bags and you get out of here?
There are, of course, differing views among hostage families about what should happen next.
I'm afraid of the invasion because I think it won't do good to the region and it endangers the captive people.
I need to trust now the government to bring my family back home and finish Hamas. They didn't do it for 20 years.
Yes, it is important to get to the leaders that can have power to push Turkey, Qatar, Iran. Yes, it's very important. But what will make those leaders change their mind or decide to go one way or another is us, is you. So we have a lot of power here.
And that's why Meirav is sharing her daughter's story and the agony of their last conversation as Hamas terrorists approached.
She will remember my last words, and it's most important. And I said, Romy, you are loved. Just remember that I love you. And when you get better, we will go to the coffee shop we were 4 days ago. We will go for trips in the places you wanted to go to. I love you. Everything is okay. You're not alone. I'm here with you. And she was quiet, and then she just said, hello, mommy. And then she didn't talk anymore.